Picture a city where the ancient world's knowledge converged, a beacon of intellect glowing against the Mediterranean's azure waves. Alexandria, founded by Alexander the Great in 331 BCE, was no ordinary port. Its lighthouse, the Pharos, pierced the night sky, guiding ships to a harbor of ideas. At its heart stood the Library of Alexandria, a monument to human curiosity, said to house every scroll, every thought, every whisper of wisdom from Greece to Persia. 500,000 scrolls, they say, stacked in cedarwood shelves, their inked words shimmering with secrets. Philosophers, poets, and mathematicians, Plato's heirs, Euclid's disciples, walked its halls, their debates echoing through marble corridors. This was no mere building. It was a living mind, a repository of humanity's dreams. But history, like a flickering lamp, casts shadows on truth. We're told the library burned, its scrolls reduced to ash by fire, Caesar's siege in 48 BCE, or perhaps later under Christian or Muslim hands. The story is neat, tragic, and widely accepted. A fire, accidental or deliberate, consumed the greatest library of antiquity. Yet, what if this tale is a veil, draped over a deeper truth? What if the library wasn't burned, but hidden, its treasures spirited away to preserve them from chaos? Imagine a cabal of scholars, cloaked in linen, slipping through Alexandria's alleys, scrolls tucked under arms, bound for secret vaults. This is the mystery we unravel tonight, a thread of speculation that challenges the flames of history. Let's begin with the library's origins. Founded under Ptolemy I Soter, Alexander's successor, it was a bold vision to collect all knowledge. Ptolemy's scribes scoured ports, seizing scrolls from ships, copying them, and returning duplicates while keeping originals. The library grew, a magnet for minds like Archimedes, who measured the earth, and Eratosthenes, who charted the stars. Its halls buzzed with Greek, Egyptian, and Babylonian voices, blending myths and mathematics. By Ptolemy II's reign, it was the world's intellectual crown, its scrolls a tapestry of human thought. But such a treasure was vulnerable. Alexandria was a crossroads of cultures, a city where Greek philosophy met Egyptian mysticism, where Jewish scholars translated the Septuagint. Such diversity bred tension. By the 3rd century CE, political instability grew. Roman emperors, Christian bishops, and later Muslim conquerors vied for control. Each shift threatened the library's neutrality. What better way to protect its wisdom than to hide it? Secret societies, perhaps descendants of the library's scholars, could have guarded its scrolls in desert caves or distant monasteries far from prying eyes. The Dead Sea Scrolls, discovered millennia later, prove ancient texts could survive in such places. Why not Alexandria's? This hypothesis isn't mere fantasy. Ancient libraries often had backup systems. Copies of scrolls were sent to other cities, like Pergamum or Rome. The library's scholars, trained in preserving knowledge, would have anticipated threats. They knew the value of their collection: mathematics, astronomy, poetry, medicine. To let it burn would be unthinkable. Instead, picture them in torchlit chambers, selecting the most precious texts, wrapping them in linen, and entrusting them to trusted careers. The library's destruction could be a myth, a story spread to deter looters while its true contents were safeguarded. As we delve deeper, We'll explore who might have orchestrated this concealment, where the scrolls could be hidden, and why the myth of destruction endures. For now, let the image linger, a city of light, its greatest treasure not lost, but buried in shadow, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. The Library of Alexandria lives not in ashes, but in secrets.
Who would dare to hide the greatest library of the ancient world? Picture a group of scholars, their faces lined with resolve, gathering in a dimly lit chamber beneath Alexandria's bustling streets. These were the guardians of knowledge, men and women who revered the scrolls as sacred, their words a bridge between gods and mortals. They were not mere librarians, but custodians of humanity's soul, trained in the arts of astronomy, geometry, and poetry. Their loyalty was not to kings or emperors, but to the ideas etched in ink. As Alexandria teetered under political storms, Roman legions, rebellious crowds, shifting faiths, they faced a choice. Let the library's treasures burn, or spirit them away to safety. Consider the stakes. By the 1st century BCE, Alexandria was a powder keg. Rome's grip tightened, and Caesar's fire in 48 BCE, whether it touched the library or not, was a warning. The city's streets churned with unrest. Egyptians clashed with Greeks, Jews navigated fragile alliances, and early Christians whispered of new truths. The library, a neutral haven, was caught in the crossfire. Its scrolls held texts that could inflame or unite. Greek philosophies challenging Roman gods, Egyptian rituals unsettling Christian converts. To protect this knowledge, a secret order might have formed, perhaps an offshoot of the Mosaean scholars, sworn to preserve the library's heart. Where could they hide such a treasure? Imagine torchlit tunnels beneath Alexandria, carved into the limestone bedrock, their entrances concealed by false walls. Ancient Egypt was no stranger to hidden chambers. Think of the pyramids' secret passages. Scrolls wrapped in linen and sealed in clay jars could have been stashed in these vaults, safe from fire and looters. Alternatively, picture caravans slipping into the desert under starlight, bound for remote monasteries in the Nitrian desert or caves along the Red Sea. The Essenes hid their scrolls in Qumran. Why not a similar act in Egypt? Some texts might have reached distant cities, Pergamum, Antioch, or even Rome, disguised as merchant goods. The mechanics of such a feat were daunting, but not impossible. The library scholars were meticulous, cataloging scrolls with precision. They could have prioritized key texts, Euclid's Elements, Hippocrates' medical treatises, or Callimachus's Pinaques. Couriers, perhaps disguised as traders, could have carried these to safety, using Alexandria's port as a hub, its ships sailing to every corner of the Mediterranean. A scroll tucked in a wine amphora could vanish into the world unnoticed. The guardians might have spread rumors of destruction, a fire, a riot, to deter pursuit, letting the library's myth of loss take root. Why go to such lengths? Knowledge was power, and power drew enemies. By the 3rd century CE, Alexandria faced new threats. Christian leaders, wary of pagan texts, might have targeted the library's heretical scrolls. Later, Muslim conquerors in 642 CE, according to some accounts, faced decisions about the library's fate. Yet both groups valued knowledge. Christians preserved Greek philosophy, Muslims translated Aristotle. Could they have inherited the library's hidden texts, passing them through generations? The House of Wisdom in Baghdad, centuries later, held works eerily similar to those once housed at Alexandria. This secrecy wasn't without precedent. Ancient societies guarded knowledge jealously. The Pythagoreans swore oaths to protect their mathematical secrets. Egyptian priests hid sacred texts in temple crypts. The library's guardians, steeped in these traditions, might have seen concealment as their duty. They knew the scroll's value, not just for their time, but for a future they could only imagine. Picture them whispering in the dark, their hands trembling as they sealed jars, and their eyes fixed on a horizon where knowledge might one day return. As we move forward, we'll explore the clues left behind, texts that survived, libraries that rose from Alexandria's shadow, and the enduring myth of its destruction. For now, let the scene linger. A scholar, cloaked in shadow, slipping through a desert night, a scroll pressed to their chest, carrying the light of a lost world.
What traces remain of a library that never truly vanished? Picture a scroll, its edges worn, surfacing in a distant monastery, its words echoing the lost wisdom of Alexandria. The library's survival is not a mere hope, but a puzzle pieced together from clues scattered across history. Texts once thought burned reappear in unlikely places. Libraries rise in Alexandria's shadow, and the myth of destruction persists as if to guard a deeper secret. Let's wander through these fragments, each a whisper of a hidden truth. Consider the texts that survived. Works like Euclid's Elements and Ptolemy's Almagest, cornerstones of mathematics and astronomy, were born in Alexandria's halls. These texts, copied and recopied, found their way to Byzantium, Baghdad, and medieval Europe. How did they escape the supposed flames? The library scholars were meticulous, creating duplicates for trade or safekeeping. Imagine a scribe, hunched over a papyrus, copying Archimedes' proofs under lamplight, knowing their work might outlive empires. These copies, sent to allied cities like Pergamum or Antioch, suggest a deliberate effort to preserve knowledge, not a chaotic loss to fire. Then there's the Serapeum, Alexandria's secondary library. After Caesar's fire in 48 BCE, ancient sources like Ammianus Marcellinus claim the Serapeum, a temple library, continued to thrive. It housed scrolls, perhaps moved from the main library for safety. By the 4th century CE, when Christian zealots destroyed the Serapeum, some accounts suggest its texts were spared or relocated. Picture monks in rough robes slipping scrolls into hidden compartments before the mob arrived. The Serapeum's survival, even temporarily, hints at a network of preservation, a chain of hands passing knowledge through time. Successor libraries also point to the library's hidden legacy. In Constantinople, the Imperial Library collected Greek texts, many traceable to Alexandria. In Baghdad, the House of Wisdom flourished in the 8th century, translating works of Aristotle, Galen, and Hipparchus, texts that once filled the library's shelves. How did these works travel so far? Perhaps caravans, laden with scrolls, crossed deserts to safe havens. The House of Wisdom scholars, poring over Greek manuscripts, might have held fragments of Alexandria's soul, their translations a quiet testament to a hidden archive. The myth of destruction itself is a clue. Why does the story of the library's burning,
whether by Caesar, Christians, or Muslims, persists so vividly. It's almost too perfect, a tragedy that cloaks the truth. Imagine the guardians spreading tales of fire to protect their secret. A burned library draws no looters, a hidden one might. Ancient historians like Plutarch and later chroniclers like Abd al-Latif exaggerated the loss, perhaps unknowingly echoing a deliberate ruse. The myth served as a shield, letting the scroll slip into obscurity while the world mourned ashes. Cultural shifts in Alexandria add weight to this theory. By the 4th century, Christianity dominated, and pagan texts faced scrutiny. Yet Christian scholars like Origen and Clement, based in Alexandria, cited Greek philosophers with reverence. Their writings suggest access to texts thought lost. Picture a hidden cache, accessible only to trusted initiates, its contents fueling theological debates. Later, Muslim scholars in the 7th century, like those in the House of Wisdom, preserved and expanded Greek knowledge. The continuity of these texts implies a chain of custody, unbroken by fire. What of physical evidence? The discovery of the Nag Hammadi texts in Egypt, buried in jars, shows how ancient knowledge could be concealed. Similar caches might lie beneath Alexandria sands or in forgotten monasteries. Excavations near the library site have uncovered chambers, their purpose unclear. Could these be the vaults where scrolls were hidden? Picture a sealed jar, its papyrus still crisp, waiting under centuries of dust. The library's treasures might yet sleep, their secrets guarded by time. As we continue, we'll probe the identities of these guardians, the paths their scrolls might have taken, and the modern quest to find them. For now, let the image linger. A lone scholar unrolling a scroll in a desert cave, its words a flicker of Alexandria's lost light.
Who were the shadowy figures tasked with saving the Library of Alexandria? Picture a secret order, their faces hidden beneath hooded cloaks, moving silently through the city's labyrinthine alleys. These were not ordinary scribes, but the library's most devoted scholars, perhaps members of the Museon, the research institute tied to the library's soul. They were astronomers who charted the heavens, poets who wove myths into verse, and philosophers who wrestled with eternity. Their names are lost, but their purpose was clear: to protect the scrolls at all costs, preserving humanity's wisdom for a future they might never see. These guardians likely emerged from the library's own ranks. The Museon housed brilliant minds, men like Callimachus, who cataloged the library's scrolls, or Hypatia, the later mathematician whose death marked Alexandria's fading glory. Imagine a council of such figures, meeting in secret as political storms brewed. By the 1st century BCE, Rome's influence loomed, and local revolts shook Alexandria's streets. The guardians, foreseeing destruction, might have formed a pact, swearing oaths under flickering oil lamps to safeguard their treasures. Their loyalty was not to empires, but to ideas, to the fragile papyrus that held the world's thoughts. Where did these scrolls travel? Picture a network of safe havens stretching from Alexandria's limestone vaults to distant lands. Some texts might have been hidden in Egypt itself, in desert monasteries like those of Wadi Natron, where monks preserved ancient wisdom. Others could have crossed the Mediterranean, carried by trusted couriers to Pergamum, whose library rivaled Alexandria's, or to Rome, where scholars like Varro collected Greek texts. Imagine a ship, its hold packed with amphora, each concealing a scroll, sailing under the guise of trade. The guardians used Alexandria's bustling port to their advantage, blending their precious cargo with wine and grain. The paths were perilous. Couriers faced bandits, storms, and suspicion. A scroll, if discovered, could be seized or destroyed. Yet the guardians were cunning. They might have encoded their routes using cryptic symbols or oral traditions to guide their successors.
Picture a courier disguised as a merchant, whispering a password to a monk in a Syrian monastery. The scrolls, wrapped in linen and sealed in clay jars, were buried in caves, hidden in temple crypts, or entrusted to distant libraries. The Nag Hammadi texts, found in 1945, show how such concealment worked. Buried in jars, they survived centuries of turmoil. Why such secrecy? The library's scrolls were a double-edged sword. They held knowledge that could enlighten or provoke. Greek philosophies challenged Roman and Christian doctrines. Egyptian mysticism clashed with emerging dogmas. By the 4th century CE, Alexandria was a battleground of ideas. Christian bishops, wary of pagan texts, might have deemed the library's contents heretical. Yet many Christians, like those in the catechetical school, valued Greek learning. The guardians, perhaps including these scholars, hid the scrolls to protect them from zealots while ensuring their survival for a more tolerant age. Cultural motivations ran deep. The library was a symbol of universal knowledge, blending Greek, Egyptian, and Persian traditions. Its guardians saw themselves as stewards of a legacy that transcended borders. Picture them debating in hushed tones, weighing the risk of discovery against the hope of preservation. They knew empires fell, but ideas could endure. By hiding the scrolls, they gambled on a future where knowledge would be cherished again, perhaps in a new Alexandria, reborn in another time. This secrecy left faint echoes. Medieval manuscripts, like those in the Vatican Library, contained fragments of Alexandrian texts, astronomical tables, medical treatises, lost poems. These could be the descendants of hidden scrolls, passed through generations of careful hands. The guardian's work, though invisible, shaped the world's intellectual history. As we move forward, we'll explore the modern quest to uncover these hidden treasures and the lingering question, where are the scrolls today?
What if the Library of Alexandria's secrets still lie beneath our feet, waiting in the dust of centuries? Picture a modern archaeologist, their hands brushing sand from a clay jar, its seal unbroken, its contents whispering of a lost world. The quest to find the library's hidden scrolls is not a fantasy, but a pursuit that haunts scholars, dreamers, and explorers. From Alexandria's ruins to distant deserts, the search continues, driven by clues that refuse to fade. Tonight, we follow this trail, seeking the shadows of a library that never truly burned. Archaeological digs in Alexandria offer tantalizing hints. Beneath the city's modern sprawl, excavators have uncovered chambers near the library's ancient site. These limestone vaults, carved deep into the earth, could have sheltered scrolls from fire or theft. Picture a team with brushes and trowels uncovering a sealed jar, its papyrus still intact. In the 1990s, digs near the Serapeum revealed tunnels, their purpose unclear. Were these the hiding places of the library's guardians? The Nag Hammadi texts, found in 1945, prove that ancient scrolls can survive millennia in Egypt's dry sands. Why not here, in Alexandria's heart? Beyond Egypt, the search stretches to unlikely places. Monasteries in the Sinai Peninsula, like St. Catherine's, have preserved ancient manuscripts for centuries. Picture a monk, centuries ago, receiving a scroll from an Alexandrian courier, tucking it into a stone niche. In Greece, Mount Athos hides libraries with texts tracing back to Byzantine times, some possibly from Alexandria. Even in Europe, medieval monasteries held Greek manuscripts, their origins obscure. The Vatican Library, with its vast collection, harbors fragments that echo the library's catalog. Could these be the descendants of hidden scrolls carried across continents? The modern quest is not just physical, but intellectual. Scholars pore over medieval texts, tracing their lineage. Works like Ptolemy's Geography or Galen's medical treatises survived in Arabic translations, suggesting a chain of transmission from Alexandria to Baghdad's House of Wisdom. Picture a researcher squinting at a faded manuscript, recognizing a formula from Eratosthenes. Digital projects, like the Perseus Digital Library, catalog ancient texts, revealing connections to Alexandria's lost works. Each discovery is a breadcrumb, leading closer to the hidden archive. Why does this matter? The library's knowledge shaped our world. Its mathematics birthed modern geometry. Its astronomy guided navigators. Its philosophy fueled the Renaissance. Picture a world without Euclid's lines or Ptolemy's stars. Our science, our art, our thought would be dimmer. The Guardians, by hiding the scrolls, ensured this legacy endured, even if in fragments. Their secrecy was a gift to humanity, a seed planted for a future they could not see. The House of Wisdom, the libraries of Constantinople, even the printing press, all owe a debt to Alexandria's hidden light. Yet the myth of destruction persists. It's a story we cling to, perhaps because it's simpler than the truth. A burned library is a tragedy. A hidden one is a challenge. Picture a scholar standing in Alexandria's ruins, wondering if the scrolls lie just beyond reach. The myth keeps us from looking too closely, preserving the Guardian's secret. But the clues, texts, tunnels, distant manuscripts suggest the library lives, not in ashes, but in shadows, waiting for the right moment to emerge. The search is far from over. New technologies, like ground-penetrating radar, probe Alexandria's soil. Satellite imagery scans desert sites for hidden caves. Scholars cross-reference ancient catalogs, seeking matches in modern collections. Each step brings us closer to the truth. Picture a jar unearthed at last, its scroll unrolling to reveal a lost poem, a forgotten proof, a voice from Alexandria's past. The library's secrets are out there, buried but not burned, waiting to speak again. As we near the end of our journey, we'll reflect on what finding the library would mean and why its mystery endures. For now, let the image linger, an archaeologist holding a scroll under a desert moon, its words a bridge to a world we thought was lost.
What would it mean to uncover the Library of Alexandria's hidden scrolls? Picture a moment frozen in time. An archaeologist lifts a fragile papyrus, its ink still sharp, revealing a lost work of Sappho or a forgotten map of the stars. The discovery would be more than a find. It would be a bridge to the past, a voice from antiquity speaking to us across millennia. The library's secrets, if unearthed, could reshape our understanding of history, science, and philosophy. Yet the mystery itself, the idea of a hidden library, holds a power that transcends its physical remains. Let's linger on this thought as the shadows of Alexandria whisper their final truths. Finding the scrolls would rewrite history. Imagine a text by Aristarchus proving he knew the Earth orbited the Sun centuries before Copernicus, or a play by Sophocles lost to time, its words sparking new insights into Greek tragedy. These discoveries could fill gaps in our knowledge, revealing how advanced Alexandria's scholars were. Picture a scholar, eyes wide, deciphering a medical treatise that predates Galen, its remedies eerily modern. The library's contents, astronomy, mathematics, poetry could challenge our timeline of human progress, showing that ideas we call modern have ancient roots. Beyond knowledge, the discovery would raise questions. Who hid these scrolls and why? Were they protecting them from destruction or controlling their power? Knowledge in Alexandria was a double-edged sword. Its scrolls held ideas that could topple dogmas or ignite revolutions. Picture a debate in a modern lecture hall, scholars arguing whether the guardians were heroes or gatekeepers, preserving wisdom or hoarding it. The act of hiding the library suggests a belief in its potency, a fear that its truths could destabilize the world. Even today, such a find would spark debates about who owns this knowledge and how it should be shared. The mystery's allure lies in its uncertainty. The library's destruction is a story we've told for centuries, a cautionary tale of loss. But a hidden library is a story of hope, of defiance against oblivion. Picture a child hearing the tale of Alexandria, dreaming of hidden caves filled with scrolls. This dream drives archaeologists to dig, scholars to study, and storytellers to weave. The myth of the library's burning is a wound. The idea of its survival is a spark. It reminds us that knowledge, once created, is hard to destroy. The guardians, whoever they were, bet on this resilience, hiding their treasures for a future they trusted would come. Philosophically, the library's mystery asks us to reflect. What is the value of knowledge if it lies buried? Picture a scroll sealed in a jar, its words unread for centuries. Is it still knowledge or merely potential? The guardian's act of hiding was a leap of faith, a belief that someone, someday, would find and understand their legacy. This challenges us to consider our own role as stewards of knowledge. Do we share it freely or guard it for the right moment? The library's story is a mirror, reflecting our choices about what to preserve and what to let fade. The modern world owes much to Alexandria's ghost. From the Renaissance to the digital age, its ideas, preserved in fragments, translations, or myths, have shaped our thought. Picture a coder writing algorithms inspired by Euclid's logic, or an astronomer tracing stars with Ptolemy's tools. The library's hidden scrolls, whether found or not, live in these echoes. Their guardians succeeded not by keeping the scrolls safe forever, but by ensuring their ideas endured, scattered across time like seeds in the wind. As we approach the end, we'll weave together these threads, the guardians, the scrolls, the myth, and the search, into a final reflection on why the library's mystery matters. For now, let the image linger. A single scroll, unrolled under a modern light, its words a testament to a library that refused to burn.
What is the true legacy of the Library of Alexandria? Picture a single scroll, its ink faded but unbroken, lying in a desert cave, its words a quiet defiance against time. The library was not a mere collection of papyrus, but a dream, a vision of all human knowledge united in one place. Its guardians, those shadowy scholars who hid its treasures, were not just saving scrolls, but preserving an idea that knowledge endures, no matter the chaos of empires or the flames of war. As we close this journey, let's weave together the threads of their story, the myth of destruction, and the hope that the library's secrets still wait to be found. The Guardian's legacy is one of sacrifice. Picture them in Alexandria's twilight, their hands steady as they sealed jars, their hearts heavy with the weight of their task. They were astronomers, poets, mathematicians, ordinary people with an extraordinary mission.
They risked everything to protect texts that held the universe's secrets: Euclid's geometry, Sappho's verses, Eratosthenes' maps. Their act of hiding was not cowardice, but courage, a belief that future generations would value what they saved. Whether in limestone vaults beneath the city or distant monasteries, their work ensured the library's ideas lived on, even if its walls did not. The paths of the scrolls are a map of resilience. Imagine them traveling by caravan, ship, or courier, slipping through the cracks of history. Some reached Pergamum, others Constantinople, their words copied by monks and scholars. In Baghdad's House of Wisdom, Alexandrian texts were translated, their ideas sparking new discoveries. Imagine a scholar in a medieval scriptorium, unrolling a Greek manuscript, unaware it began its journey in Alexandria. The Nag Hammadi texts, hidden in jars, show how such preservation worked. The library scrolls, scattered like stars, found their way into the world's intellectual firmament. The myth of the library's burning is perhaps its greatest protector. By believing it was destroyed by Caesar, Christians, or Muslims, we stopped looking for it. Picture the guardians whispering tales of fire to mislead looters, their deception a shield for the truth. This myth, repeated by Plutarch, Seneca, and later chroniclers, became a story we embraced, a tragedy that masked a triumph. It kept the scrolls safe, buried in caves, crypts, or distant libraries, waiting for a time when the world was ready to receive them. The myth is not a lie, but a guardian in its own right. The library's impact echoes through time. Its ideas shaped the Renaissance, fueled the Enlightenment, and live in our digital age. Picture a modern scientist using algorithms rooted in Alexandrian mathematics, or a poet inspired by fragments of ancient verse. The library's hidden scrolls, whether found or not, planted seeds that grew into our world. The House of Wisdom, the Vatican Library, even the Internet, all are descendants of Alexandria's dream. The Guardians' gamble paid off, not in their lifetime, but in ours, where knowledge remains humanity's greatest treasure. Why does this mystery endure? Because it speaks to our longing for connection, to the past, to ideas, to each other. Picture a child gazing at the stars, wondering what secrets Alexandria held. The library story is a reminder that knowledge is fragile yet resilient, easily lost but fiercely guarded. Whether its scrolls lie in a desert cave or a forgotten archive, their existence challenges us to keep searching, to keep dreaming. The Library of Alexandria was not burned. It was hidden, and its secrets call to us still. Let the final image linger. A lone scholar, standing in Alexandria's ruins, a scroll in hand, its words glowing under a desert moon. The library lives, not in ashes, but in the hope that one day its light will shine again.